decided to do this showcase to show off all of your hard work throughout the year. And so we have from 202 all the way through student teaching over here. It's kind of an overview of all of our classes. So depending on what level you are at, you can kind of start looking through some of the work and projects that other students have created. Also in the middle, there is a sign-up sheet for colloquium ideas for next year. There you go. If you can just write on the slips and put them in the bucket. And then there's also a sheet we're looking for board members for next year. So the board members, me, Austin Lewandowski, Katie Clugston, we work with Biggs to put this all together. So if you guys want to do that for me, there's also food in the middle if you feel like it. And then starting shortly, we will have a, you guys can just go through and look at these presentations, and then we will have a speaker towards the end, and I will announce them later. Thank you.
So in my secondary methods course, I did this battle ecosystem lab with 6th graders. And we just collected a bunch of dirt, worms, crickets, and some plants, and we shoved them all in bottles to kind of see how an ecosystem works. Unfortunately, mine as well as the students didn't last very long, but it was a really good time. The kids enjoyed it, got them out of their seats working in groups. So it's key to keep order when doing this lab. The kids get kind of crazy and whatnot, playing with all the dirt and animals. So keep it strong, firm grasp, but it was a real good time. Enjoy.
All right, so I'm in EDU 202. My name's Megan, if you need my name. This is my philosophy of education project. So in EDU 202, you get to make your own philosophy, and you kind of want to have like 3 main points. And I have those on here. And then I have a main philosophy too, right at the bottom. So people pour in what they pour out, and that's what it means to be a teacher, in my opinion. So it's really important to pour in love.
Alright, so the speakers tonight are my parents, Paul and Tina Slater, and they're pretty awesome teachers, and they inspired me to become a teacher. So I just hope that they can also inspire you to continue in the teaching field.
I'm glad you guys are here. I told Paul, like, oh, people are leaving. That makes me feel good about you who stayed. And so, because then I know that you're really in it. You could have left. You still can. But it makes me feel like you want to be here, and I appreciate that. So thank you for staying. Paul and I both teach. We've been teaching forever. We're just going to kind of go through like what we do, what our roles are. But before we do, we want to pray. So I'm going to open in prayer if that's okay with you. Father, thank you for the gifts that you've given each person in this room. Thank you for the passion that you've provided to them. Thank you for their willingness to serve students. We just ask that you continue to guide them throughout their education and bless them. In your name we pray, amen. Okay, do you want to start?
Sure.
Okay.
This is really weird. I don't think I need this.
You do. If I do, you do.
For the camera, you do.
Okay. I'm not sure where we're at with our slide here. Just put up a brief introduction of ourselves. We moved down to Florida right when I graduated from Spring Arbor College, SAC. I shouldn't say then we went down. I really wanted to work right away because my mom kicked me out of the house, so I really needed a place to stay and earn money. So I went to Florida right away, and it was probably the greatest experience of my teaching career because Florida, believe it or not, seemed like it was in the future of education when we moved down there. They were doing things. Michigan had kind of done this. We've kind of got what's working, so we're going to keep doing it this way. And Florida was very progressive. People were very critical of Florida. So it was kind of like going into the future. And then after 12 years of living in Florida and having children that were going to start school, we felt we wanted community, so we moved back here to Michigan. And I was lucky enough to know people with JPS and get a job teaching at the alternative school in Jackson for the last 14 years. I taught 12 years at the alternative high school, and now I'm in my second year at 4th Street Learning Center, Academy Center.
Whatever it's called.
Whatever.
I graduated from the University of South Florida, and I'm really not younger than Paul, but it looks like it because of the graduation dates, but I took a long time. And then I taught in Florida regular general ed, 3rd and 4th grade. Are any teachers here going to teach 3rd and 4th grade? Yeah, that's the best. And then when we came back into Michigan, I started teaching special ed at Onsted. And I am just like one of a string of special education teachers that had been at Onsted 1 year at a time. And they were in and out, in and out. And I kind of made it my own personal mission that I was not going to leave. And I'll talk a little bit more about that later as we go on. But any special ed teachers? We need you. I have a special invitation for you at the end. I need you. All right, Paul's going to talk a lot about his school. And I'm going to like jump in because here's the thing. At our house, sorry girls, at our house, every night we pretty much do this. Like he comes home from work, he tells me like how he can't do it another day. We work through it. We offer each other suggestions, and we're just going to kind of share what we do, right?
That's right.
All right.
Thank you. Let's see if I can move the slide here. Ooh. Like I said, I teach at 4th Street Learning Center, and just go back into a few things is my alternative school was not my plan. I played baseball here. I wanted to coach. I taught in Florida at a really high expectation school for both the parents and the students. And we had regular Division I athletes, regular 4.9 students, and they wanted to be pushed. And it was an environment where we kind of all pushed each other. And then when I moved back to Jackson, I started working in the alternative program. And I thought with JPS, it's a big district, I could come in there, teach a little bit at the alternative, and then move to a different high school position. And then, you know, like, you figure out things you like, right?
Okay, so this is like the thing is that, so 2 years ago, Paul was transferred from T.A. Wilson Academy. Do you guys know it? It's Jackson Public Schools Alternative High School. Students who've been kicked out, students who have babies, students who have really poor attendance, students who felt bullied maybe and don't want to go to Jackson Public or Jackson High or any of the other high schools, and they want a smaller environment. And they have about 200 students.
150 probably.
Okay, they have about that many students. And Paul.
On a nice day like today, there's like 50.
Yeah.
It's alternative.
I don't know if that's on. Is it?
It is. It's just not as loud as
I'm loud. Sorry, but so Paul was really comfortable at Jackson Alternative High School, and the change came about a year and a half ago, almost 2 years ago. You can go on if you can.
Yes, my reward for being highly effective and having the second highest evaluation rating is I got transferred to the problem school, and that was the middle school. And it was a problem because it was kind of put together in a rush. They wanted to get kids that were really behavior problems out of the school, and they took about 80 of the worst behaved kids,
Middle schoolers.
At Parkside, and they put them in this wing, and they said, good luck. You can't suspend them, you can't put them in, take them out of your environment, you just have to teach them, and you're gonna have them for 6 hours, and that was before I got there. And it was a real failure, and the superintendent recognized that, and he said we have to take people that are really good with this environment and put them in there. And I wanted to quit.
Well, so really, so at our house is a little crazy. We've had Rosa living at our house, so now you know it can be a little crazy, right? But so at the time, we also had an exchange student from the Netherlands at our house and an exchange student, a Palestinian, from the West Bank at our house. And Paul got transferred to this crazy job, and everything, the wheels were coming off, for real. So Paul came home and he's like, I cannot do this, I'm quitting. And I said, you cannot quit. You can't quit, you have to make it work. And so we sat for weeks and weeks, like going over this, like, it's hard, you guys. It's super, super hard. Like you invest, you know how much you invest in like the lesson plans that you've made, all the time you put into it. Well, then you put like time into that with real people attached to those plans. It's hard, and then you're uprooted and moved. And so Paul is like, I'm done. But you can't quit. And so we work together, and he comes home and I make suggestions, and I feel we just work together. So he went back to work with a plan, made a plan, all right?
I think the biggest thing that I had to establish in a school, and a school where the environment is really chaotic, was procedures. And we've been talking about that in Jackson Public Schools this year, was climate and culture, and procedures is like a big topic, because alternative is starting to really become the norm. And it's kind of scary when you're in a school environment where you feel like you're getting outnumbered by the issues at home and the issues that are walking into the building that you have no control over. And procedures was really a big thing. Routines, we talked about academic vocabulary, we talked about what classroom's gonna look like, what if you have an issue, how are you going to solve it? and before we even got anywhere near what we were going to teach. And I teach social studies, so that gave me a broad area of where I could go before I started working in the classroom. I'm sorry I don't know why I get emotional.
Because it was super hard.
Yeah. But moving along.
Can I just jump in real quick?
Yeah.
Do you think you might be teaching students who are at risk or in poverty? Do you feel like that might be, I see a couple eyes I just saw that are so cute. They're like this. But here's the thing, I got this out of the Washington Post. It's from January 2015. Can you see the headline from the back? Majority of U.S. public school students are in poverty. The Southern Education Foundation reports 51% of students in pre-kindergarten through 12th grade were eligible for the federal free and reduced lunch program. 51%. And you know what state we're in, Michigan. So you know we are in that 51% range for sure. And even like we live in Onstead, which is just a cute little lake community. My school's 44% free and reduced lunch. It's crazy. So you are likely to teach students who are at risk and in poverty, even if you live in a nice, cute little community. Sorry, go on.
One thing that I made sure that I really wanted to establish was this idea of high expectations. And in our environment, the easiest thing to do when you start to know these kids and where they come from and their family and how they got there that day, the first thing you want to do is feel sorry for them. And in education, as an educator, if you really care about someone, that's the last thing you're going to do. When I taught in Florida, we had these kids with super high expectations, and I would never think one time of cutting them a break. I would make sure that every time they did something, they would do it right, or they would do it over again. And then you come to this environment where kids are making mistakes all the time. Well, guess what? You've got to do it right. And it didn't matter if we started out reading at a second grade level and you didn't like reading, you were going to read. And if you didn't like reading in front of people, as a group, we were going to do different things where we'd pair off and you were going to read. And we had really good success. I think taking on something and throwing a lot of content at it was really good. I researched all kinds of different things about my topic at their grade level, meeting them where they're at, and we read a lot. Once they got to the point where they understood that I wasn't just going to let them take days off or let them take assignments off, then we kind of understood each other and they started working. And then once they started working, they started seeing progress. And it seemed like crazy to think of an 8th grader being excited about 201, breaking the 200 mark on his NWA. But when you're 8th grade, you're the biggest kid in the class. You read at the 3rd grade level.
You're so funny. Okay, so can you tell how passionate? But for real, so students come, and the first time when Paul was gonna read with the students, he's like, I don't know if this is going to work. Primarily he has 6th, 7th, 8th grade boys, for the most part, that live in Jackson. They haven't been engaged in school much. They typically aren't practicing reading throughout the day. They're not reading at home, that kind of thing. So at first, kids are like, I've never read a whole book before. And so Paul's like, well, let's start and we'll do a chapter. And so it's so fun because we are always sending Snapchats back and forth during work. And they are Paul will send me his class. And he has a couple of the videos here. Do you think the sound will work?
I don't know.
Okay, but so students are partnered around the room. You can kind of see in the top slide.
The volume won't work.
Okay, they're reading. And so partners are reading together, they're listening to each other, they're reading with each other, and it's super exciting. So Marley's at school a lot. She pops in and she'll sit and listen to the students. That's why we need you, special ed teachers and 3rd and 4th grade teachers. That's why we need you, because when someone pops in to school and listens, boys, men at the round table, when someone pops in to listen to the kids read, they read even more, and they're more excited about it when they're getting feedback from someone who's cool, like you guys are much cooler than, you know.
Much cooler.
Yeah.
I chose some of these pictures because they're people that really overcame stuff to get where they're at. This girl right here, Marley read with her, and she's EI and a bunch of other things. She is. But she could, when she was trying to read, if someone was looked at her before she came in the room or said something to her, she couldn't even focus the words on the page. And we're trying to get her score up to about 200 in the spring in NWA. I wish I could play it because she was just reading right off. So
Go on. You'll just
elaborate
cry.
on that.
No.
No.
Yeah.
And these are just some fun kids. You know, like, it's hard to believe I went to that point, and I can't remember the name of that song
Do something.
Do Something.
It's that Matthew West song, you all know it, you know, like I saw someone something, why doesn't someone do something?
Yeah, why don't you do something?
Yeah.
I heard that song, and you know, like, the whole time I'm thinking, why me? Why am I going to this school? And when I think of you guys and I think of the girls, it has to be who?
So it really does. You guys, I'm just gonna go on a limb that you might feel called to be a teacher. A lot of you are kids who've been raised in the church. Some of you are kids maybe whose parents are teachers. Some of you might be just like I was. I just want the summer off. For real though, that was totally like my original motivation for teaching, is that I just want to, like, you know, I want to be like a mom, I want to be with my kids. Like, that's a legitimate reason to be. Teachers don't have to always be altruistic. You can be in it for yourself a little bit too. And so it has a good schedule. Whatever your reason is for being a teacher, you are jumping through so many hoops to get there. You know, like kids who are like in social work, psychology, business, they are not jumping through the hoops that you are. You are jumping through hoops like crazy. The state testing that you have to do is crazy. Sorry, Mar. But it is really hard. If you want to be a teacher, you're putting in a lot of your own effort. And it's a really, really hard place to get to. So when you're in your classroom and you're feeling like passionate about it, it's completely normal. In fact, like sometimes Paul and I will come home and we're like so exasperated, or whatever you want to say, like frustrated, or feeling like I'm not doing enough, or feeling like I'm not giving enough. And then there are some teachers too that will leave school and they're like, all right, see ya. And it's like, how do they do it? Like, sometimes I want to be more like that, but I can't be like that. And I think it's because we both have felt like a calling to reach and teach kids who others might overlook. And it's become a really, really, really big part of our lives, our whole lives, including our children's lives, who we've taken with us into the classrooms and games at the Martin Luther King Center, where they're sitting on the bench at the game and piled high with coats and sitting like just craziness, having the teams, the T.A. Wilson basketball team over to the house and cooking food and doing all kinds of things, but involving like your whole family. When you do that, you create like a lot of high expectation for yourself too. And that's the place that we've arrived. So the next slide is that we're teaching students in poverty without losing our hearts, our minds, and our money. And here are the things. If you really don't feel like you're called to be a teacher, it's a lot easier if you want to make a difference in a kid's life to sponsor a child for $30 a month. And you get their picture for your fridge. Marley, we've got your student from Cambodia in my bag here. This boy. So every time we go by the refrigerator, we're like, aren't we good? You know, like we sponsor this boy. He is so lovable. He's adorable. Sorry about this part.
It's all right.
Okay. He doesn't smell bad. He doesn't talk back. He doesn't annoy me. He doesn't need to blow his nose. It's hard in the classroom with kids who have high need. They smell. They don't always have the best social skills. If you're in second grade and you smell like cigarettes, it's hard to work with that child. This is easier. And I just feel like if you want to be like the teacher or the person who wants to just feel good about it, this is like the way to go for sure. It's hard to have relationships with people who are really needy. And I just mentioned earlier, like we've included the family in this, and for better or for worse, they're following after us. I'm not sure how that will go. Paul worries, he's gonna worry about each of you too, that this is hard, and you aren't always respected when you're a teacher. You have read the newspaper, you know that it's being a teacher, you're often blamed for almost every problem in society. And it is frustrating. And I used to be always reading those articles, and then I would read the comments, and then I'm like, why am I doing this to myself? I'm like destroying myself. It's so hard. So what I've done is, and Paul works on this, this is us, probably. Yeah. You've got to find people who think the way you think and will encourage you in your teaching, and they'll be honest with you in your teaching too. And I've got a little tribe at school, my little team, and Paul, we always laugh at him because he comes home and says all the time, my team and I did this, my team and I, we've been talking. But you've got to make a team. And you'll go into your school and you might be a member of the 4th grade team, but they might not be your team. You might have to cultivate your own posse, people, tribe, that's my word I like. You have to find your own people that will support your thinking, but also be honest with you. And that's probably the best thing that we've been able to do. We can't do it in any other thing. We can't do it in parenting. We can't be honest with each other and disagree respectfully all the time, but we can do it in teaching. And I've got good friends that I teach with that you can do it. So you've got to find your people. And some of your people are probably in the room right now with you, because some of our people are alumni from Spring Arbor. Some great teachers. I can follow, I know what they're doing. Kathy Salo at Hanover Horton. Girls, you guys got to get out there if you're in elementary. You're in elementary. You got to go to Kathy Salo's class. She's so good. You know, there are teachers that you need to follow, and you need to let them kind of mentor you. They don't even have to always know you're doing it, but follow them.
Can I just add something to that? I think probably the greatest thing that I would tell students to do in college is to get out into the classroom. Because once you're in the classroom, all you see is what is inside your walls. And you don't get an opportunity to get out and really see other people teach. And when you're in college, I think you have, I know I didn't take advantage of it the way I should. I think it's really good that the girls have had to do so many in-service hours and observing hours, watching people. That is so valuable. And I tell the teachers at my school because they get nervous when students are coming in there. And I know at Parkside, they don't even like it when students come in there because they're afraid of what's going to happen.
That means we have 12 minutes left. We are not going to make you late.
And I think that is even when it's really important. And I get so nervous when students are in there watching my classroom because I don't want a kid to say something or do something that is so inappropriate. But it's going to happen. And it does happen. And for you to see that now, while you can just observe and you can just see how the teacher reacts before you get in that situation, because when you're in that situation and you have to react, that's when people make mistakes and they don't handle things the right way. But it's so valuable, and there's so many people that I see at Jackson Public Schools, at golf outings where I see a bunch of teachers that went to Spring Arbor. There's a lot of Spring Arbor alumni teaching around here, and get out and see them, and they would welcome you in the classroom. It's just a thing. I wish I would have done a better job of that when I was in school. And if you got the opportunity to get out and do it, that's so valuable.
Okay, the last couple things we want to say is that when you start teaching and you're alone in the classroom and you are scared, remember your training. It's very, very important that you remember the things that you've learned. You look back at your notes that you will know, you may not know now, you will know by the time you're leaving here, you will know how to teach. You will have good, solid practice. You will have excellent experiences. You've had good role models. You've had great chances for observations. When you're alone, remember your training. You've got everything, you will have everything that you need to be successful. Almost. This is a thing. I have to add 2 more things and then we're done. Okay, so.
This is generally how things go. I'm supposed to do all the talking. I can't do it. She does all the talking. It's a great way to work it out.
You can't do it or you don't want to do it?
No.
Okay. Okay, so this is just, I wanted to add this too, because we feel like we have a calling to teach. People will say, when you're working with students who are at risk or students who are in poverty or whoever you have in your home, this is your chance to be Jesus to these people. And I feel so much pressure by that. I cannot be Jesus. It's too much for me to bear. I can't do it. And so I tell myself, be me, but let Jesus come through me. And think of how Jesus would react. Let the children come to you. Sometimes I say that to myself. Go after the lost sheep. When a new student comes to your class, make sure he's connected, sit by him, do whatever you need to do to make that kid the lost sheep. You've rescued him.
That's probably one of the best things you do, is bringing in new students.
Yeah.
How you bring them.
Yeah.
New students are a real challenge for teachers that you don't learn about, because right away they get sucked in with the kids that are not doing the right thing.
When I have a new student come into my class, I sit with them. I pull my chair up to them and I lead my class from that spot, and I sit with them. And I kind of let then the students show the routines of the class and kind of let them take my spot in a way. And I think when I do that, what I see is that my students, who I've had for a longer time, watch me. And they think, I feel like they think, Mrs. Slater likes that kid. She still likes me too because she's letting me like show around the room and she's letting me do whatever she would do. And I feel like that it's important. So, be you, I think. Last slide, then we're done. We're good. Oh, this is my classroom. Okay, so everyone who's in elementary or special ed, come to my class. So these are quick, Kara is the mermaid reading to my students. You know, include your family. I really think so. Like, we brought the girls when they were little to our classes, always. They've always been at school. People that your students see you as a person, and you can like develop a rapport easily. The most important way to help your students, though, honestly, is to keep them engaged in the curriculum. Set high expectations. I'm a special education teacher, 3rd, 4th, and 5th grade. Quick story, we're supposed to be setting goals, letting our students set their own goals. They want to read 100 books by the end of the school year. I die. I'm like, I'm afraid of that goal because we only go to school 180 days and some of you can't read anything. And I'm scared because you've got to set goals that you can attain. And they're all like, oh no, we can do it. I think I'm so bad with numbers. I think I have 20 students now. I think 16 of them have met the goal, and a bunch of them are like within 10. By June 9th, we're gonna crush it. My lowest reader, he's like on 175 books, you know, but he starts with like the little like Sea Dragon Run. He's gone from a kindergarten reading level like to 2nd grade 4th month because he's like miles on the page reading. So I'm all about being engaged in the curriculum. So is Paul, because like he said earlier, you can't feel sorry for people, and Jesus doesn't feel sorry for you either. So you have to meet them where they're at, bring them along, move them, and help them to learn. But come to my class. It's a long drive, but it will be worth it. Yeah, so this is it. That's Paul's number, that's my number. You can put it on your phone, you can write it down, and come to our classes. You're totally invited anytime. You can come before school's out, you can come in the fall, but anytime. And we can hook you up with other teachers too, even that are closer. Probably not closer than you, but being a teacher is super, super tough. And that's why I was honestly really excited when people left, because you guys are in it. And that's what we're all about too.
One thing, if you contact me, I can contact almost every school, and principals get about 1,000 emails a day. And I know Kara was trying to email my principal, and he saw me about a month later, and he goes, you know, I just saw an email from your daughter. But that was about a month ago. So if you have a contact number, don't be afraid to call me for an elementary school. I'll send an email or I'll get a hold of the teacher.